Hello, everyone. It's Micheal Jaco with Unleashing Intuition Secrets. So, Carrie Cassidy just came out with a little post to a bunch of us, and she said, "Let's get something straight." You know how Carrie is, right? So, think of her speaking. Regardless of the current managed seeding out to the media of the list of dead or missing scientists, all associated with reverse engineered UFO technology, free energy, plasma fusion, propulsion, and so on, keep in mind that whistleblowers, researchers, scientists, and journalists have been targeted by the deep state secret space program for the past 80 years, going back before the Nazis. All right, this isn't a new occurrence, guys. All right, so the fact that they're making a big deal out of now 13 scientists that have died mysteriously, the fact is that this goes back way back 80 years, right? And I've talked about this on several shows, you know, all the different people that have passed because they've been, you know, revealing this information, because the deep state wants to control this information. They want it for themselves. And they want to take this technology that's being developed. Deep state, if you haven't figured out yet, are Luciferians, right? And that's the highest level of evil. You have the Satanists, which are basically their puppets. And then you have the regular people like us, who they believe are cattle, right? To feed on, or, you know, drink our blood, whatever they want to do with our children, whatever. That's how they see the world. So, you know, killing a scientist that's developing information that's going to give us free energy sources and so forth, it's not going to happen, right? They're not going to allow that to go forward. Now, what I believe is happening, and what we're going to talk about, is David Sarita basically came out with a video today, and he went down that rabbit hole, right? Because he's been involved in all of this technology that will give us free energy. He talks about nuclear powered batteries that would last 10,000 years. Imagine having your Tesla, you don't have to you know, recharge it, right? For 10,000 years. Crazy, right? That's a technology that's available, and more. And that's just tip of the iceberg. So they're controlling that information. They're keeping it from us. They've been keeping it from us for a long time. And it looks like maybe, baby, that a lot of this, you know, cut back in the oil, and Lufthansa said they're going to have to cut 20,000 flights through October because of the doubling of jet air fuel, right? So, I mean, whatever. We know that you don't really use that much jet fuel anyway, knuckleheads. So that's just misinformation right there. So all they need is for jet fuel is to get up into the air, and then they just, you know, use the energy, and they're coasting through the through the air. If you look at those videos, there's lots of videos of that out there. If they really use the amount of fuel that supposedly they're charging us for to fly on their aircraft, they would have like these tankers that are stacked on the wings, not these little tiny wings with a little bit of fuel in there, right, guys? Come on. So there's lots of information that's right in front of us that they're keeping from us. They're keeping us dumbed down scientific wise. They're keeping us dumbed down as far as like all of this high tech information and so forth. So it's going to be very difficult to take these knuckleheads down. So could they be coming forward with some technology in the near future that they have stolen from these scientists. Kind of like, Nikola Tesla. They stole a lot of his information. And they've been using it for a long time in their underground facilities, DUMBs, and so forth. So could they be possibly coming out? I think they are coming out with the technology that they have stolen from scientists that they've killed over the years. And then scientists that are, rediscovering or discovering, continuing the discovery of some of these technologies, they're killing them off, right? So this is what we're seeing. This is absolutely what we're seeing. And it's been going on for a long time. So the Trump administration, by saying they're going to expose this stuff and coming out with Artemis 2 and Artemis 3, of course, Artemis 1 was Trump's first term. And we just had Artemis 2. How much of that is going to be part of Reveal? I think it's moving that direction. Now, a lot of people are very, sassy pants about, finding anomalies about the spacecraft Artemis 2. And they think that if they find something that's, incongruent and doesn't work, or somebody misspoke or said something off a little bit, like one of the astronauts said, and we launched on April 3rd. Well, what do you mean? You launched from Earth atmosphere, or because you launched on April 1st? So what is it? So there's some misspeak. Is that on purpose? There's a lot of that going on. How much of that was real? How much of it was because there looks like a lot of the stuff in the videos, guys, was real. Was that from other, craft or from other events, or or did they really go around the boat? Who knows? All right. I think some of it's true and some of it's bullshit. Right. And it's been that way for a long time for a lot of this stuff, because we don't need to blast off in, using rocket fuel. Now, once they get in space, then everybody's like, well, where's all the fuel that they need to go around the moon and come back? It's just like the jets, guys, when they go up in the air. Unless you're, flying you're a jet jockey in the military, you don't need all that fuel. Once you get into certain atmospheric conditions, then you don't need fuel. You're able to coast quite a bit. Now we're going to have Juan come in, and he's got some information that he wants to share. Juan, you got a nice little view there.
Yeah, I was just picking up an engine and moving it for one of my cars there. It's a LS motor, about 700 horsepower supercharged. So it's fun motor and trannies. So anyway, but they don't do anything unless you put them in something.
That's it. It's just like those spacecraft.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you got to make it go somewhere. Okay. Yeah, point it somewhere. Don't point it the wrong place. That's for sure. So, hey, I wanted to mention everybody's kind of getting amped up, and the president put something out yesterday about the Virginia election. Yeah. And I just want to let folks know, we have this conference coming up mid-June, 15th to the 17th there in Las Vegas. I've got a half a dozen, we may get a couple more before it's over with, of the top data people, the election specialists on the planet that are going to be presenting there. And just so people understand how connected they are, several of them have been providing data by request, have been providing data on the Virginia election situation to the White House and White House counsel and like that. So there's, and guaranteed, we know exactly how the fraud occurred in the Virginia election. I'll be very direct about it. It was fraudulent. We can prove it. There's no question about it. And as the president said, question is, are the courts going to do anything about it when the moment comes and the materials are presented through whatever means is chosen, and that's been a problem all the way along. The only thing I would say to the bad guys involved, both here and abroad, is that the president has already made it more than clear that should the courts fail to respond, we have options and we'll exercise those options. He'll exercise those options to make sure that we do not get the frauds that have been directed at us coming up in the 2026 election. It's a non-starter. The president knows that he, his family, and the patriot community would all be targeted endlessly. And he doesn't want that to get a chance to get started. And so we'll see how everybody responds. The difference is from other times when we've had the frauds in the elections is that we weren't as prepared to observe it real time, document it, and know exactly where to look to do what we got to do. So this time we got it all. We got it with exacting precision. Nobody's gonna be able to mess with us on this. It's if I was one of the bad guys, I'd be lawyering up right now. If I was connected to the bad guys and some of it could rub off on you, I'd be lawyering up right now.
Very good. And you're talking are you talking about the governor race?
No, the Virginia. What they had in Virginia was they did a redistricting race,
okay.
And there's all sorts of questions whether it was even legal what they tried to do. Part of the problem is that I think it'll get overturned in the courts on the legitimacy of even running the race the way it is, and it's very vague and squishy and bizarre in the language of this thing. But that said, the powers that be, the ones behind the scenes, the deep state players, couldn't restrain themselves. They had to try and get in there and control the direction that the election went. And so the problem for them is here's going to be probably overturned by the courts that it was even valid to do the election, but they're going to have been involved in election crimes. And a lot of the stuff that sounds like was old, going back to 2020 and 2022 and 4, this brings a lot of that up fresh. Same thing with what's going on in the primaries. And we've seen similar types of mischief in the primaries and documented, Texas being one of the places. There's other types of fraud occurring in places like Utah where I'm just telling you, those people are unhinged out there. They have no connection to reality. If you're a resident in Utah, you live in one of the most lawless places on planet Earth when it comes to elections and politics and bonds and everything else. I'm shocked, really. And we just, every time you roll over a rock, you find something more, and you're like, oh my gosh, really?
Wow.
So, but it's like that in a lot of other places too, by the way. So, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. The in Florida, it looks like they're going to really they're going to do redistricting, and they're going to add a lot more Republican seats. So there's a lot of movement where they're talking about. Right now, Republicans have 218 seats. They could move to 250 to 270 seats by the midterm elections.
Yeah. Well, and the problem is, though, I have an opinion on what's going to happen within this election cycle. I don't think that with the fraud that's already occurred, that we can take the chance of going the rest of the way on it. But we'll see. I mean, the president's got his thumb on it. He's got great, people advising him. But we'll see what actually happens. Just everybody needs to be assured the president isn't going to sit on his hands. What happened in 2020 is not going to be allowed to happen again now. And we're wise to the mechanisms that are being used to do these election frauds, by the way. So, people need to realize that. So,
yeah, they were predicting red waves in 2018, 2020, and 2022 didn't happen. So, we got to change this election system.
Well, and we don't have the luxury of pretending that we've got it and the red wave shows up and whatever. These particular types of thefts within the electronic systems are very real and very dangerous. And so, and then the courts not allowing us access to the CVRs, cast vote records, things like that, that allow us to prove what's going on. All of that has to change. So, and it will, again, this is a different mode. You can't compare what's going on now with what's happened previously. I think that's the important thing that a lot of people, they keep saying, yeah, it's been this way. Nothing's changed and not. Yeah, I'll bet money on that. That's not the case. We're going to have some amazing things happen. And the fact that the White House was getting briefing papers and briefs and in-person meetings on this exact issue. They're keenly aware now of exactly how the fraud happened in Virginia, what's happened in Texas, and some of the other places. So there'll be action. It's a different time, different situation. The one thing still though is that we all have cleanup to do from the past. We still got Tina in jail.
Right.
Absolutely, completely insane that she's in jail right now. And every day is just couldn't be more critical with her health physically. Plus, she's 70 years old. How would you deal with that yourself mentally? And everybody's coming to the rescue. The president gives you a pardon, and none of it can get you out. Who would have believed?
Well, there's got to be something that's coming up, so we'll keep our fingers crossed. Keep praying.
Yeah, we got. There is actually. I'm aware, and I don't want to, give false hope or let the cat out of the bag. But there is some stuff that I'm aware of that's happened this week that I believe will ultimately, fairly shortly, have a positive outcome. And it'll be more than one step. But I think it's, there's been an agreement along this line now at least twice. And I think this one will get traction and happen, but we'll see.
All right. Good. Sounds like you're in a much happier crowd this time.
Yeah. For those that don't know, I was doing a little broadcast with you the other day, and David Kinney, and then some people had imbibed a little bit too much, and there was like three couples, and they were getting a little too over exuberant and bumped me. So I dropped my phone and picked it up, and I was laid back about it, and then apparently they had a little bit of a problem between a couple of the guys and went to fisticuffs, and then the women had to dive in to stop them, and one of them tagged me in an area of my shoulder that's a little hypersensitive, and so I was in it, and didn't quite know what to make of it at the time. But you got people that have had too much to drink and they're getting rowdy. It can be a little bit tough, and one of the guys was being really going over the top, and that was the person that in the police, even when we were in a downtown spot, but it still took them about 7-8 minutes to respond. So there was a lot of drama in between. I had punched off my sound and punched off the video while I was going to move to a different area, and but I survived. It was life happens. So
I mean, you always give us a good view. That would have been a really good one.
Well, that one, the one I got, I still got a heck of a bruise on that shoulder. I don't know if it was from getting hit there or when I had to hit back, and my wrist still hurts. And the one girl, he hits too hard. He hits too hard. My boyfriend didn't mean it. Well, fuck. I mean, you know,
It's too hard. That's a good one.
yeah. You know, what am I supposed to do? They weren't playing. I mean, they might have thought they were playing, but I didn't. I didn't think so. So anyway, but I'm okay. I made it. They're all okay. I think they took 3 of them to jail. So that's
Wow.
all that happens. But it's the nature of the beast. Life in the big city.
Very good. Very good. So, you know, we're at that point where, you know, we have
it's poised to make a very solid move. It's working in the inverse of what's going on with oil. So as you see oil up or down, the silver has been kind of going the opposite direction. And both are tangible and used for industrial purposes and to make things happen and work and all that. So as oil goes down, silver will go up because more industrial stuff happens. And that's kind of the thinking. And I expect, the working stuff going on right now related to reindustrialization of America and the factories going up. Remember silver coming in to support the growing business sector in the U.S. They pay a 50% tariff, and so it's an incentive for the U.S.-based mines to get back to it and start mining silver. But the mining companies don't want to make these huge capital investments till silver is at least at 240, and most of them are saying they're not going to start till it's 280. And they feel that it's going to be solid. And of course, Vice President Vance is working with a number of the mining companies that are negotiating for strategic materials. Silver's been moved into the category of strategic material now, which means we need it in order to provide a defense. And so they're negotiating a floor for silver for use within government military operations. And it's somewhere between 240 and 320. And most everybody is kind of the mind that it's going to end up at 280. And it probably won't happen until sometime next year. But when it does, and when the anticipation is there, you'll see it moving sharply up. And in fact, there's people that are trading within silver futures or options and spending big money on the bet that silver is going to be $90 to $100 by December. So people on the know on the inside are spending very serious money on that bet. They feel they know something that the rest of us don't know. And but I actually think that's not completely ridiculous. I personally expect it somewhere up there around 140, 150, but we'll just see.
Yeah. So I think it's going. We're in the beginning stages of this bull run in silver. So those low numbers, but something that people can grasp at this point. So I think we're gonna see more. But yeah, you have a great. You got the latest one, and I just put it in the chat. To the moon. I like that one. I have it. That's the only one I don't have yet. So you're going to see a little order for me coming in because I like to get big on those. So.
Well, the flip side on that is, of course, it's JFK to DJT because
beautiful.
President Trump. Part of this. Let me just say this. I think this is really important for people to kind of understand.
Mm-hmm.
I watched every launch. I watched, all the way back to the Redstones, the launches, and would feign not feeling good, stay home, watch the launch, stay up all night, watch the black and white TV, and so I mean Shepard, glued to the TV set, move back from the TV, don't sit so close. Hold the antenna on the rabbit ears because it's getting a little squishy there. It was so fun. Some people just have no idea because they don't grow up in that era. Yep. But I remember adding aluminum foil to the rabbit ears to try and get them a little bit better reception. But anyway, we had this belief, this understanding, this promise that we were going to advance in amazing ways. And then 2001 A Space Odyssey, amazing to think of going to the moon, building a habitation, having space stations flying over our head by 2001. This was, late 60s, 68, 69, 70. And to see all of that short-stopped and not completed, and with the shuttle stuff and the space stations, we're just going around circles out there. A lot of the stuff that supposedly we're learning, we really already know it very well. It's just a seeming waste of time and money, tethered, to the earth. And so within the idea of reindustrializing America and turning on the productivity engine, I'm out on the East Coast right now, and I had to drive over to Cincinnati the other day. And even where I'm out in the Carolinas right now, the amount of businesses, factories, stores closed up, never to open again. I was down at a place that was a huge factory complex, employed 20,000 people a few hours ago, all the way up until the early 80s, and closed down. And all of that industry went to China, all of it. And all those jobs gone, all those people gone, manufacturing certain machine parts. That's a story that repeats over and over. The big steel mills going to South Korea and Asia and like that. The boat building, the cars, the airplane wings, everything else. And we paid for it. Our politicians made us pay to move the industry out of the country. And we got the higher taxes. What Trump's doing with raising the tariff and promoting business inside America is pushing that we lead this realization of America and the West, the partners that we like, that are, freedom loving, if you will, and aren't, half crazy, want to bomb us every day. And that's jobs. That's a future for the kids. That's a life. That's means going back to space instead of mining solely here on the Earth, doing mines on the moon. And the habitations on the moon won't be on the surface. They'll be under the surface to provide protection from the cosmic activity like that. With that in mind, you, in a Kennedy-esque style, want to get people to reimagine, to envision what that's like, because without a vision, a people perish. That's scripture. And so you have to give them a vision in their heart. And part of the thing that really bothers me for like the young people we have, within the Patriot movement, oh my gosh, I got the bunker fully stored. I got more gas. I'm getting more gas. I'm, digging down a layer deeper. How does that come across to young people? It makes them fatalistic, literally it can drive them to, drinking, drugs, whatever. Yeah. And it doesn't, I'm going to do all this investment in education in the future and working hard, and I'm not going to get a house. I'm going to get a 300 square foot apartment or something in grandma's basement. Mm-hmm. And so part of this reindustrialization of America is aimed at the youth, and by showing them a future in space and stretching out off the planet and establishing our habitations above the Earth, near and far, and going to a moon base and doing mining out there. The jobs, I have somebody that's just graduated from college with a mining degree. And I said, I'd go back in and do your PhD. And I would do it on mining. That's one of my hot rods. The mechanic is going down the street. Anyway, we would want to have the kids. I told this kid just got his mining degree, graduated. Says, you ought to go back and do a PhD on mining and mining technologies that are required for the moon and for asteroids.
Wow.
And what the next 20 years could look like, the next 50 years, the next 100 years. Because we won't take everything off the surface of the Earth to take it up there to build stuff. A lot of the stuff will use materials that are right there on the moon and or even asteroids to do our manufacturing. And a lot of the materials won't be made the way they are here because we can make them for use in space different ways. Glassified materials, weight isn't quite the problem there if you can get it up to it like it is trying to pull it out of gravity and fly it through the atmosphere and stuff like that. So, in fact, weight can be your friend. So sometimes you want to manufacture with much heavier weights, way beyond what you have to down here on the surface. And so there's a lot of details there for mining and manufacturing in low gravity and zero gravity environments, and low atmosphere or no atmosphere environments. For example, on the moon, the material that's available, sand, you would build glass facilities and even tunnel going through material that you would turn to glass, as opposed to 2x4s or, iron beams and things like that. And in that kind of environment, it's actually much stronger even than steel or iron or things like that. So there's a lot of conversation that needs to be had about how are you going to build, what materials are you going to use, what fluids are you going to use, things like that. And that's why this, I'm probably guilty of that often too. I have hot rods.
Yeah, you definitely.
Yeah. I like a lower thump. I don't like the sharp stuff myself. I like a little throatier or less throaty. I like the deeper resonant sounds. So anyway, but that's the conversation ahead, and I think that's healthy. So that's why doing the coin JFK to DJT, I think, is important, because we have a lost generation that didn't get to enjoy what they were supposed to enjoy, going back and picking up where we left off, because our future was hijacked for many of us, and we're going to give that future back to the kids that are alive right now, picking up where we left off, and that's that coin. So very fun.
Very good. So yeah, you have unfortunately, there's seems to be a group that's been pushed into the don't believe in the moon stuff anymore. The thing is pretty tragic, but I think they'll come around.
Well, the only thing I can say, there's valid reasons to question so much of what we've been told, because unfortunately there was lies told for national security reasons, that I actually kind of get at a certain level. And yet I personally don't think it was right. The fraud is more damaging than the truth would have been at the time. There's other ways we could have combated. And I think with frauds that happened on the first landing stuff, doesn't mean though that we're not doing many of the things that we're doing. I will tell you that, for example, a number of the videos related to the shuttle stuff and the space station stuff, clearly fraudulent, clearly not what was going on. One of the ones that was funniest, so I'm actually at a facility with a couple of scientists. We're talking, and the guy's showing me this video that was taken on one of the shuttle flights where they go to the space station. And he says, what do you think's wrong with this video? And I am looking. I cannot see, And he says, well, you see this over here? And he points at the corner of the window. That is a fly that's on the outside of the spaceship. we look at it and go, oh my gosh.
Frustrating.
Yeah, I mean,
it discounts all the other stuff that is real. So
yeah, and so in other words, I guess what I'm saying is that it's not without some basis.
Yeah.
That there is huge skepticism of some of the stuff going on. NASA never a straight answer, but we are doing stuff and going to the moon, and the president's not participating in fraud. We're working through this. There is stuff that I think trust but verify, and I'm glad we have people that are going to hold everybody's feet to the fire.
Yeah.
But the idea here is to stretch out, go where we're supposed to go. God's promise to Abraham was that he would have children as numerous as the sand on the seashore. Well, shoot, we've probably had a dump truck load of kids here so far, so there's a lot of sand on the seashores. We're nowhere near that. And then as numerous as the stars in the sky, an earthly seed and a heavenly seed. And, the amount of stars out there and solar systems and planets and everything else, there's more stars out there in all the galaxies than all the sand and all the seashores on the entire planet easily, many, many, many times over. In other words, there's a future for humanity, the children of Adam, that God intends. And it will never be fully realized here on this orb. We will stretch out and do amazing things. And, what will it look like 1,000 generations from now? Pretty wild, a million generations. It will stretch out. It's going to be amazing. So this is the first step. And President Trump is trying to help the kids of this generation to begin to envision that, figure it out, and go do it.
Yep. That's great. I love it. It's happening. Moving in the right direction. Yep. Thanks so much, Juan. Great information as always. We're always going to appreciate it when you come on. So thanks for taking the time.
Well, and let me just add this, Michael. There's huge revelations that are in the offing right now. I don't think they're very far out. 2020, it's not over yet. There's some stuff coming out, even with what happened over in Virginia and Texas and like that. But the reason I mentioned that, certain aspects of that affect Tina's situation. Prayer. Everybody, there's no room for frustration, upset, whatever. Prayer changes things. I heard somebody that had a near-death experience here recently, and one of the things they said that they saw prayers going up, and they were actually like building blocks. They were very substantial. They weren't vaporous. They weren't airy. They were building things out. So, I don't know. There's more to it than I think sometimes people give credit to it for. God spoke the whole world into existence, and there's some kind of a principle there that when we give him permission, ask, he does things because we do engage. And the situation with Tina, I would want everybody to be able to take credit for praying her out of this situation and having some tangible part of that, if not understood or seen in this world, in the next world. And let's pray Tina out of this situation. She needs our help desperately. She's a American hero because she went in to protect the vote data that we now know was 1,000% true. They stole the vote 2020. She was protecting that information and data. She's the only person that went in and saved that data, which we can use in court, both inside the justice system and inside the military, as we go to military courts also. So she saved something that nobody else seemed to have the guts, will, understanding to dive in and do. And yet she's the one in jail. By divine ordinance, let's get her out.
I agree. It's going to happen.
It's going to happen. So, love you, bro. Appreciate getting a chance to talk to your audience. Sorry I had to bow out the other night. I got bumped out.
Should have kept going a little bit longer. I guess you did come in later. So
yeah. Just you guys had already
you fought through it and came through at the end. So
yeah,
didn't give me enough time. Sorry.
All right. All right. Well, love you both, you and Tracy. You're great friends, and look forward to seeing you down there
Yep.
in Vegas in mid-June. And I sure hope a lot of your audience shows up. This is not, we're not playing around. We're doing something pretty amazing. It won't have a bunch of vendors or other stuff. We didn't want any of that. I think it would distract. We're all about business here, so come on down and enjoy it.
Yep. And from us, back to you and Jen. Lots of love to you guys too. Thanks a lot.
All right. All right. Night, folks.
Night.
America.